Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Huge Rostermania news emerging overnight with plenty of new rumours we're going to dive into, but also Scrappy seemingly confirming he feels held hostage right now by the Toronto Ultra, given the fact they are trying, it seems, to put a load of new rookies around him and he doesn't seem happy with that outcome. Would they sell him elsewhere? What teams would be interested? Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Firstly, iLLeY auditioning for a spot next season, playing Cold War, as plenty of people are right now. Can actually see iLLeY, Arcitys both in this lobby. The present rumour is, as we saw a few days ago, they will potentially be a duo next season over on the Los Angeles Guerrillas, which would be very interesting for a few reasons. But iLLeY, don't miss, don't lose. He's back in business. You guys know how it is. Speaking of business, I know you guys are pointing out that this is like a Young Thug album, right? I've got done again. I mean, every month or so, some pro tweets out a song lyric, a song name, an album title, and I get done. But still, there is business going down. There's no doubt about that, and Simp will be involved in it. Let's talk about the Toronto drama then, because this has really thrown a spanner in the works of this whole Rostermania period, and this might well be what is holding up a lot of what we've had over the last couple of days. Teams, they made their decisions over the first few days. Now the Toronto situation's going down, and many of the top teams are thinking, well, if Scrappy's available, then we've at least got to entertain it, and that is keeping things on hold for a little while, more than likely, but it also opens up many other possibilities as to what these top teams could decide to do. So supposedly Toronto have told Scrappy their plan is to put 2 or 3 rookies around him. You would think that Hicksy probably stays. We know that they've run out of money, basically, is what's going down here, and due to financial difficulties, maybe Mr. VC has come knocking and say, look guys, you got to make some money at some point. It's not looking good. And look, Ultra as an organisation or overactive media, they're spending a lot of money on other things, and maybe that's now got to the point where the COD team can't be as competitive as they would like it to be. Insight, CleanX, they're looking to sell those guys, move on from those players, and I guess their plan is to keep Scrappy and have a team around him. The issue is, especially with a personality like his, is he going to be happy? Is he going to play his best when he's gone from a team which is contending for championships, winning championships, just been in the World Championship Grand Final, to a inferior team with a load of rookies on there again? Is he going to be happy? Is he going to play his best stuff? Probably not. Are you going to get your best amount of money for Scrappy right now by selling him? You probably are. So those are conversations that they will have to be considering. He's obviously not happy with the situation, and we'll see that in a second. And Jacob L corroborates this and says, to his knowledge, this is correct. So what would they do on Ultra? There's several options, you know, Gwyn and others, rookie SMG players they could potentially bring in. Maybe they'd keep Hicksy around, maybe they wouldn't. And maybe that's what's going to happen, and Scrappy's going to be stuck there for next season, but he is going to try, more than likely, to get out of there. We've had some similar situations in the past. You guys might remember the start of the Modern Warfare 2019 season when Dashy was hoping to join the OpTic guys, but it was a little bit unclear what was happening there with the Huntsman coming along and all this, and he ended up signing for OpTic Gaming Los Angeles, and then as soon as that happened, he wanted to leave and he wanted to go to the Huntsman, but they couldn't make it work and he was stuck there for the year until OpTic Chicago came along in Cold War and he managed to go back to the green wall in that sense. But yeah, as Bance says here, right, perfect 3 rookies. You've got CleanX, Hicksy, and Insight and all this type of stuff to try and round out the squad because that's what they would need. But unfortunately, it's probably not going to happen. And then Scrap himself tweets this out, which is pretty clear, right? I mean, first of all, he tweeted this out just yesterday, which or the day before, which implies a similar thing. Okay, Squidward's looking down at the boys with the bars in his way, and we have a similar thing here. Here he is, the dog, Scrappy do or whatever, stuck behind the bars. So, you know, is this implying that he feels like he's being held hostage right now to a degree? Does this imply that Scrappy wants out, but yet they're not particularly willing to engage in doing that? Then again, if there's any player on their team that they could sell for the most amount of buyout, it would be him. And fundamentally, he signs, I believe, a 2+ 1 year deal, which does make me wonder what happened at Ultra such that they thought they were going to keep these guys long term. I believe all of their top guys, but I guess we can just see the numbers here, probably around about here on the Jacob Hale contracts page, that CleanX, Scrappy, and Insight all signed 2+ 1 year deals, which I think are probably new deals such that they're signed guaranteed for another whole season, and then it's another year potential extension that the team can implement if they wanted to, which kind of implies that Scrappy could theoretically be stuck on Ultra for another 2 years. They could do an Octane to him, right, and what Seattle did. Octane was not happy on Seattle Surge. He was stuck there for a couple of seasons, especially during the Cold War days, right, when Modern Warfare looked like the team was going to be okay, but on paper it wasn't particularly good, looking back at it. Then he was stuck there because they extended him into the Cold War season, and then finally he was gone, released, could join Thieves, and had all the success from then onwards. Scrappy might be in a similar boat where he's stuck there for another 2 seasons, which would be a massive waste. I'm sure he doesn't want to go through that, and I'm also sure that, you know, as a player, he's not going to play his best, and, you know, Toronto aren't going to get the best out of him if you force him into that situation. So maybe the best decision is just sell him now while the chance is there, and that really would open the door. And you've also got to think about the other side of this, where from the Toronto perspective, as an organisation, they were in quite a questionable standing a few years ago. You guys might remember, especially in the Cold War days, there was lots of drama with Ultra, okay, the Cammy thing actually about the sensitivity training, but also even before that, I think it was Brack and maybe Classic and others wanted to go home to visit family members for various reasons, and Toronto didn't allow them to, and there was a lot of drama about that. Kremp, I think, went in on them at the time, and since then, though, the last couple of years, Toronto have turned their reputation around, become a really well-loved organisation, and if you're a pro or even a fan looking at Scrappy getting held hostage there against his own will to this contract that he has signed, but he signed with the belief, I suppose, that they wouldn't just sell his best teammates the season after that he signed the contract, it's not a good look for the organisation, and it also doesn't look good for any other potential talent that might want to go there, knowing that that's a potential tactic they might employ. So it does open the door, very much so. And even Arcitys replies with kind of like, oh yeah, you think you're being held hostage or whatever. Like, I've had the same experience on Guerrillas, where he tried to join OpTic this season, didn't happen, they couldn't make it work, and he was stuck there on a pretty long-term deal. So we'll see what happens here, right? But Scrappy will be, if he is available, one of the top targets absolutely of this Rostermania period, out of nowhere, right? Because we were looking at Pred and Envoy and potentially Octane and Drazah and guys like this, but if Scrappy is possible to acquire, and it seems like he feels like he's being held hostage, and that implies that at some point they should consider a possible move, then here we go. Now, Scrappy, if he is stuck there, will not have a particularly good time, right? I mean, if he's going to be playing with a load of rookies, it's going to be difficult, and Toronto as an organisation, just wanted to look at this for you guys quickly, how remarkable this is. So their parent company, Overactive Media, has lost a lot of its stock price value in the last year, down 90% since the company went public. Not a massive surprise, let's be honest, these esports organisations, they're always in the bid, especially at the moment. But I thought what is even more remarkable is that the market cap of the company, right, so the price of the shares times the number of shares, the total valuation, theoretically, is 14.4 million Canadian dollars, I guess. I'm pretty sure this is in Canadian as well. And you've got to remember, this company owns a CDL spot, which according to Activision is worth $25 million. That's US dollars, not even Canadian. So it's kind of crazy that the market believes that the total value of this company that owns the Overwatch League spot and the Call of Duty League spot and all this stuff is worth significantly less than what the spot is meant to be worth, which probably just gives you go to show a little bit of how this esports thing is working out right now, and it's leaving them potentially in a rather precarious financial position. And even Ronnie mentioned here on Reddit that apparently the owner, so not like the guys that run it, especially on the Call of Duty side, but the owner apparently only cares about Overwatch, which is a bit strange, just because like the Overwatch League, if there's one league that's in a worse spot between the OW and the CDL, the Overwatch League is definitely a worse spot. So a little bit strange why they would just sacrifice a COD team for that purpose, but whatever, that's what we know as it stands. Wanted to mention though what this beautiful man Ben JoeDeceives has to say on the matter as well. He discusses Rostermania last night and goes through a lot of his rumours that he's heard on the matter, and he says that he reckons the Scrappy thing is potentially holding this up, especially when many teams have got to look at it, and the risk you run, let's say OpTic, you're looking at Drazah, you're looking at Envoy, maybe you're still looking at Pred, we'll get to that in a second. If you let Scrappy go to FaZe, you have serious problems on your hands.
Because if Scrap hits the market, and we just talked about Drazah, Envoy, and Pred, bro. Like if we put Scrap on FaZe, I gotta obviously spell it correctly, dead. It's over. It's literally over if this happens. Like, I don't know what to tell y'all about like other teams in the league, but like this squad cannot be allowed to form. I'm sorry, because like this is probably the best version of a team that FaZe can build. You got MC running main, you got Scrap being your flex, and Simp and aBeZy as your subs. And there's just insane pace on this team, insane S&D skill. They're going to be really good at respawn. Control, I think this would finally kind of round out their control game. I know they weren't great at control this year. I think this would make them great, amazing at control, because I think Scrap for Austin kind of solves a lot of the problems they have. And they would just be really difficult to beat. And then even then, like let's say Scrap goes to OpTic. Let's assume it's like Scrap and then like Envoy and Pred. Like there's another disgusting super team that could be formed here. Now, the only thing I will say about this situation is that Toronto would need to let Scrap go. Someone have to buy him out. It would have to be a reasonable buyout price. Like I just don't see FaZe or OpTic with Drazah, Envoy, Pred out there, you know, paying some $500,000 or plus buyout fee for Scrap. So this one's going to get very interesting and ugly. And I expect the reason things have slowed down from when I've talked to people behind the scenes is people kind of monitoring the Toronto situation and trying to find out more of what's going on, what the status is before they decide if they're going to commit to sort of their target list. Again, I'm speaking more to like FaZe, OpTic, and Thieves. They want to see if someone like Scrap is available because I think he would probably be number one on everybody's list if I had to make a guess.
So JoeDeceives was discussing a lot of this on stream last night, some in the video actually that I just shared the clip from, but outside of that, these are his other beliefs as it stands. So Drazah and Envoy are not going to be like a team of two. They're not a package deal. They could go elsewhere, right? So Drazah Envoy to OpTic is not a guarantee that it's going to be both or none of them. Dashy has apparently already signed a new deal with OpTic, which is probably not a massive surprise, but it means that he's not going anywhere. I know some people have said, oh, you know, get rid of Dashy, keep Ghosty. That's not going to be happening. iLLeY, Arcitys, team of two on LA Guerrillas. We saw that rumor the other day. If that develops any further, we'll certainly talk about it because it's pretty interesting. And I do wonder whether iLLeY should consider a return to the SMG if this was to be the case, but we'll see about that. So Scrap might not get bought out. He might stay there, but it seems like he wants to go, and Toronto would, I think, they should at least consider it. I think at the very least, Toronto should consider it for the reasons that we've discussed. So it's possible that, you know, especially if you're FaZe and OpTic, you can get a guy like Drazah for free. Now, you might say Drazah's never going to go to FaZe because there's beef there, which there is. And I don't know if Drazah and aBeZy, because that beef is pretty personal between the two of them, whether they could actually squash that. But if it's to join FaZe and if they wanted Drazah, I'm sure they could find a way around it. He reckons Octane is going to stay on Thieves despite all the rumors that are going around about that at the moment. Also 50-50 on whether FaZe run it back or not. We'll discuss that more later today because it seems like now, especially with Scrap potentially available, they might be looking at a possibility there, and that is the concern, right? So look, once the teams figure out what they're doing, the dominoes are going to fall. Snoopy staying on Boston apparently is going to be a thing, which is also a pretty good you know, W for Boston in a way, because Snoopy, I think, kind of maybe unintentionally, but I think he kind of played a blinder really. He signed what I'm guessing is a 10-day deal, over 10-14-day deal, whatever they can do over the World Championship, plays champs with Boston, plays very well, probably their best player as a brand new rookie into that team, and surely will have interest from other organizations as well. If Boston can keep him, that's actually pretty good going. Drazah or Envoy can end up joining FaZe. This OpTic thing is not 100% guaranteed. He also reckons this is all grain of salt, right? So there's nothing guaranteed here, but you know, just this is what he feels at the moment. He also reckons that Sib and Ghosty, they're not going to be joining FaZe. So if there is a change there, it's going to be between Slasher, potentially Octane, potentially Scrap as well, and we'll get into that. He reckons they're pretty sold ultra on selling CleanX and Insight on. He reckons that it's definitely still possible for a Pred team to occur. He reckons even Dashy, Envoy, Pred, Shotzzy could be possible, with one of them going to the flex if Drazah goes to FaZe. So it's definitely not impossible that Pred to OpTic still happens. Definitely can be true. He also reckons Simp to OpTic is plausible if they can't get Drazah and still want to move on from Ghosty. I'm not sure that improves them, but still, that's all the opinions that he presently has. So a lot of this stuff is obviously to be taken with a grain of salt. None of it is set in stone as it stands, and I think this Scrap question is really holding up a lot of the debate right now as to what's going to happen in the future here and what a lot of the AR lines are going to look like for next season. Lots of baiting going around here, Octane to FaZe and all this, and the more you see of this, the more you think, well, he's certainly not going to be leaving this organization. As much as he does have a little back and forth here with Pred, happy birthday, brother, building Chem early, I see, thanks, man. So yeah, Octane, master baiting as it presently stands. The human turret Octane, happy birthday to Octane, of course, for yesterday, and that is where we're pretty much going to leave it for this morning. Just before we close out the video, I did want to mention that Daryl is giving away this beautiful cardigan. I saw him wear this at Major 5. I was like, damn, that is pretty fire. And then he wore it at Champs as well and won the entire thing. So if you enter this giveaway, you can win either one of 5 NYSL skins or this NYSL Daryl cardigan that he won the World Championship with. So hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.